Time travel. I mean, it's the ultimate what if, right? It's a concept that has totally captivated us in stories for generations. We've seen heroes leap into the past to fix things and villains pop up from the future to mess with destiny. But could any of this be more than just fiction? We're going to peel back all those layers of Hollywood storytelling to see what actual physics has to say about it.
Okay, let's just dive right in. We all love a good time travel movie. I mean, whether it's Marty McFly getting that DeLorean up to 88 miles per hour or the Avengers just zipping through the quantum realm, on screen, hopping through time seems as simple as flipping a switch or, hitting the gas.
But here's the thing. Even in stories, time is super delicate. One wrong move, one tiny little change to the past, and bam, you can create a total logical nightmare that threatens to unravel the fabric of reality itself. These are called paradoxes, and they are the #1 headache for any would-be time traveler.
So, to avoid complete and utter chaos, storytellers have to set up some ground rules. First up, let's take a look at the laws that movies laid down for time travel and, well, see how often they break their own rules just to make a good story.
From H.G. Wells, the guy who actually gave us the term time machine, all the way to the latest blockbuster, these stories need some kind of framework. Some of them imagine time as this single, tangled thread where the past is just fixed. But others suggest that every little change you make just splinters off into a whole new reality, creating this massive multiverse of possibilities. But no matter what the rulebook says, these guidelines often create way more logical tangles than they solve.
Okay, so now let's get into the two most famous paradoxes that give both storytellers and physicists a serious run for their money. These are the thought experiments that really push the limits of what could ever be possible.
This is the big one, the classic. You build a time machine, you go back, and whoops, you accidentally stop your grandparents from ever meeting. Well, if they never meet, you're never born. But if you were never born, then who went back in time in the first place? It's just an impossible, self-destructing loop. This brings us to an even weirder, more mind-bending idea. What if something could exist without ever actually being created? So imagine this. A famous composer's greatest masterpiece was actually given to him when he was a young man by a time traveler. But that time traveler only knew the music because he studied the composer's records in the future. So who actually wrote the music? It has no origin?
And you see this everywhere. Take the Terminator. The advanced computer chip that lets them create Skynet is recovered from the Terminator that Skynet itself sent to the past. See? It's a perfect loop with no beginning. Information, objects, even people can get trapped in these endless, unauthored cycles that are super fascinating on screen, but a complete and total nightmare for logic.
So while all these storytellers are tying themselves in knots trying to solve these paradoxes, what if the universe already has rules that just make them impossible? This is where we leave fiction behind. Do the real laws of physics actually allow for these kinds of timeline shenanigans? To find out, we have to go back to the man who literally rewrote the rules of time itself.
Albert Einstein's theory of relativity just completely changed our understanding of time. I mean, he showed us that time isn't some rigid, universal clock just ticking away at the same rate for everyone. Nope. Instead, it's this flexible fabric all interwoven with space that can be bent and stretched and even slowed down.
According to Einstein, there are two main ways to mess with time. First up, speed. The faster you travel through space, the slower you move through time compared to someone just standing still. And second, gravity. The stronger the gravitational field, the more it warps space-time and the slower time passes. And this isn't just a theory. It's a proven, measurable fact.
And hey, this isn't some tiny, abstract thing. It's something you probably use every single day. The GPS satellites orbiting Earth, they're moving incredibly fast, which slows their internal clocks down, but they're also in weaker gravity, which speeds them up. The net result is that their clocks gain about 38 microseconds every day. If we didn't correct for this, our GPS would be off by miles. So yeah, time travel is literally built into our daily lives.
Okay, so if time is flexible, can we bend it all the way back on itself? Into a loop? This is where the math in Einstein's equations gets really, really wild. Some of the theoretical solutions suggest, well, maybe.
Whoa, okay. I know this slide looks incredibly complicated. Just ignore the math for a second and focus on the main idea. In physics, a time machine isn't about flashing lights and spinning dials. A real path to the past would be a feature of space-time itself, a loop, which they call a closed time-like curve, that would bring you right back to where and when you started.
And this isn't just some fringe idea either. Einstein's own colleague, Kurt Gödel, came up with a theoretical model of the universe, and again, don't worry about the specific equations here. where these pathways are everywhere. In Gödel's totally bizarre rotating universe, time travel wouldn't just be an exotic possibility, it would be a fundamental, unavoidable feature of reality.
This leads to a huge question, right? If the math actually allows for time travel, why haven't we been flooded with tourists from the future? Well, one of the greatest minds in modern physics, Stephen Hawking, he proposed an answer.
Hawking came up with something he called the chronology protection conjecture. He basically believed that even if you could start to build a time machine, like, say, by messing with a wormhole, the laws of physics themselves would step in and stop you. Quantum effects would create this massive feedback loop of energy that would build up and destroy the machine at the exact instant it was about to work, basically slamming the door to the past right in your face.
And he had his really great kind of playful way of putting it. He imagined it as a chronology protection agency, a fundamental part of the universe that just steps in to prevent the paradoxes that could rewrite history. It's like the cosmos has its own built-in safety feature to preserve cause and effect.
And that just leaves us with this incredible final thought. While the grand equations of relativity seem to crack open the door to the past, the weird, strange rules of the quantum world might just be there to make sure that door stays locked. Maybe the laws of physics don't just describe reality. Maybe they're actively protecting its logical consistency from our own meddling. Maybe the universe is safe for historians after all.